Good afternoon, and welcome to another lackluster edition of Diatribes from the voice of doom. And now here's your laconic and loquacious host, Voice of Doom. Hello. I'm going to do another one, and it's probably not going to have any central cohesion, nothing to tie it all together, just a bunch of crap happening. I don't know if I'm going to keep on taking notes on Petri dishes speeches. Every time I see another one, it's worse than the last, and that's saying a lot. I thought his speeches during the fiasco of the successful evacuation of Afghanistan was one of the worst things I ever saw, but they seem to be getting worse every time. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just the utter blindness and delusion that's being exhibited. So here's the thing of what happened with this Infra de-structure. They wanted to put everything all together, tie everything one to the other, link them so that you couldn't vote for one without voting for the other. Now I know many moderate legislators wanted to pass some infrastructure bill because we need to, and that's understandable. Now they'll waste most of the money, but some of it will trickle down to things we actually need, maybe fill a few potholes. But after the election results of the midterms, I think the Democrats realized, well, they really want us to pass this, but we can't pass this other one right away, but they want us to do something. So all of a sudden, magically, they delinked it, and lo and behold, that first infrastructure, so-called bill, passed. Which trillion-dollar deficits, I think they're $2 trillion deficits now. Just got to get used to that. But Petri dish had to stand up and tout himself and tout the great legislation that will be consequential. I know it'll be consequential. When he says it, he thinks he means good. And when I hear consequential, I mean, yeah, there's going to be serious consequences. But the American people wanted us to deliver. His platitudes are getting tiresome. He may as well just say, let's go Brandon 50 or 60 times and then, amble off the stage. Because he says the same stupid stuff. We got to restore the soul of America, my 3 pillars of my brilliant administration. Restore the soul of America. Thanks, Petri dish. It's going to be up to you to restore America's soul. If that's the case, we're in worse shape than I thought. Restore the backbone of America, the working class. The working class have been shut out forever. They've never had anything. We're going to get them back, the backbone. The people that work. Bottom up, middle out. It says it every time. This trickle-down theory is not going to work. Give working folks a chance. Give them breathing room. Breathing room means that we're going to give working class people with kids a monthly allowance. That's going to be quite a bit of money for maybe they're not used to getting an extra $800 or $900 a month, and they're going to go out and spend it. So that's going to solve inflation for them because they have all this extra money. So by solving inflation, he means we're going to alleviate the effects of inflation on some people who we give money to. And the other people, well, they'll just have to, buy things and just get less for their money. If you don't have kids right now, then you chose the wrong time to not have kids. So breathing room, breathing room, breathing room. I'm going to bet on the American people by giving them free child care. Give them half a chance. See, problem with American workers is they got to take care of their own kids, and that takes time. And if they want to pay for daycare, then that pretty much takes away the money they were going to make by working 2 jobs anyway. Both parents working. That's why I didn't have my wife work when we had our kids, because even if we'd be poor, I didn't want to give all of her income to a daycare center for them to be all day. And have other people, you know, I mean, you learn from your fellow students and you learn from those teachers, whatever, we didn't want it. We didn't really want them to go to public school, but I guess it's the law. So if the government can pay for people's child care, preschool, daycare, all the way up through, then the parents can both work and ultimately pay more taxes and ultimately, add to the GDP. So that's great. Now, 50 years from now, people will look back. They're going to look back all right. And we'll look back and say this was a turning point for America when we passed this Infra De-structure bill. And, people will look back as a major, major watershed moment in history that everything starts to solve itself. There won't be any more inflation. I mean, they need to do the BBB plan because that'll really solve all the problems. So we got to really listen to Petri Dish and think about getting on board with this. And there are activists that are getting rather violent and in your face about, we don't want to die because of climate change, so you better pass this BBB thing because Petri Dish will save us all from dying. And I agree we don't want to die, but I don't think they understand what they're going to die from. And only I know it. And I'm not going to tell you because I'll be banned. Now, I just thought it was funny that they had to backtrack on that linkage. I mean, it's real, boring, but they had to do something, so they did something, and he's going to sign it, and there's going to be a hoopla. But I like the way that the far left squadettes are holding to their ground, and they are not going to vote for anything less than 3.5 trillion. And there's other people in another tribe that will, or same tribe, different subset, that are not going to vote for 3.5 trillion. So that will never get anywhere with anybody's help from the universal forces, I hope. Or just pass it and we can get this whole thing over with. Because the conflagration is 27 days away. And I was just browsing through various snippets of news here and there and noticed that things are getting worse every day, everywhere. Getting worse every day, everywhere. And so the conflagration is at hand. Iraq is falling apart. Syria, Petri Dish wants to get out of Syria and Iraq once and for all, so he's working on probably leaving there in the middle of the night and letting things, the chips fall where they may, but lots of ISIS. I don't know if they're ISIS K or they're ISIS J or ISIS W, but there's lots of ISIS in Syria and Iraq, and they're getting ready to take over. As far as China goes, they're still kind of worried. They're saying now the Democratic bloc heads will come to Taiwan's rescue, so we got your back. So they won't dare attack you, and nothing will happen. And if it does happen, it'll be down the line. So we got your back. Now, you can see how the Democratic bloc has people's backs from the past behavior. You judge today by the past, you judge what will happen tomorrow by today. It's very obvious that things will be bad very soon. I mean, real bad, not like now. And what else about China? Well, I wanted to reiterate that I gotta keep saying it because nobody else is this guy is not concerned about whether China survives or not. And I've given you every reason If you go back to my Megwo episode, where I discuss the Mandarin derivations of what they consider America, and I do a little background check on Xi, happiness, he's out of his mind. He's a sociopath. He does not care if China goes down in flames. And I've given you every reason to know why. I don't want to go into that again. So he can do whatever he wants. He is in no position to lose anything. And it could happen tomorrow, and it could be happening right now. And they'll get it on the news in 3 or 4 days that Taiwan was nuked. Now, another thing that Happiness G is doing is he told everybody in China to start hoarding agricultural commodities. I guess they put it on the news, which means hoard food. So they're hoarding food, and nobody really knows why he's telling people to do that, but he's telling people to do that. Now, maybe we don't buy a lot of food from China. I don't know where the Chinese food places gets their product from, but there might be importers, for sure. But 2 billion people hoarding is going to cause a chain reaction on the supply chain. And we're all going to be in chains, as Petri dish once said. Put us all back in chains, all of us. Doesn't matter what race, creed, color, chains. So you got to look at those factors as part of the precursors to the coming conflagration. Now, 27 days, I know it may not happen exactly on the day I say, but there's going to be explosions. There's already little bad things. Slowly by attrition, people die. They die in a concert. Look on the news, it's like, 8 people die in a concert, and it's like, oh, was there a fire, or what was there? And it's like, no, they just squeezed each other. They just acted like a mad herd. A herd of buffalo that are running up against the fence, and the people in front get squeezed to death. That's just human behavior, the herd mentality. Yeah, we need herd immunity, so let's use a herd mentality to do it, okay? The herd is, getting more insane, and I don't want to be part of the herd, and I'm not part of the herd, okay? And I never will be. So I can watch from a somewhat removed distance at the herd's behavior. And you can get into other things that the herd does, and the herds don't like certain things. They don't like being herded, but they agree that herding is good, Don't herd us around, but it's good that we're being herded. It's hard, you should understand it. It's in the vernacular of things people say. They agree wholeheartedly that this should be done, but they don't agree that it should be coerced. And they already did it. And it's like, well, I don't know what you're thinking. If you believe in something, then believe in it. But don't say, I believe in this, but then I also believe in that. You can compartmentalize, but I'd hate to be in that position to say, I agree this should happen, but I also don't agree that it should be forced. So, I'm not making sense today. I was mad at Petri dish because he keeps on babbling on. He takes questions this time. And of course, he didn't have his card with him, so he just points at somebody, which is very dangerous for him. But he answers in the usual way. Yes, we will pass that. And then, this is a disaster. No, it's not, And he just babbles through using his platitudes of breathing space and paying their fair share, the usual. And I don't think I'm going to listen to everything he says anymore. I'm just going to hit high points because I'm realizing that taking notes on his gobbledygook is pointless. I'm trying to convey what he said, and it's gibberish. And I don't like the sign language either. I'm looking at the sign language, and it's like I don't see how those signs are matching up with what he's saying. And how can a ASL or whatever even interpret what he's saying, because he's not making cohesive statements. So I don't like the sign language. I don't think that she is saying what he's saying. I really don't. Suspicious about that. I'll let it go. I didn't say anything. I'm sorry. I apologize, but it still sticks with the overarching theme of we're all doomed. So enjoy the day. Bye.